Okay, so this is the part where we start doing interesting things. So, tutorial materials. I've got my actual material here, which I'll quickly save again. And then I'm going to import some assets. And for that, I'm going to have to go down here to my game dev folder, tutorial terrain development, and you'll see I have my color map and my normal map just there. So if I open them, okay, these will come in handy soon, and I'm just going to save them off. So they're part of my package. Takes a moment or two, but it's worth doing. Nearly there. Now, if you haven't used the material editor inside of Unreal Engine, my God, what have you been doing with your life, and why do you want to use it? Come on, get some practice in. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to click on Terrain 01. Now, the simplest thing we could do for our terrain is basically just mash number 3. There we go, and make ourselves a constant 3 vector. And in there, just make ourselves some green, such green, and then link our such green to our base color. Ammo, click save. Give it a second. Takes a while sometimes. There we go, and we have this beautiful green thing going on here. Might not be what you want though. In fact, probably plain green texture like this is not what you want, unless you're doing kind of some sort of weird cartoony thing, or you're mad. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to take away this. Bye. And in return, by the way, my hotkeys won't work because I'm using screen recording software, and Camtasia is a bitch when it comes to hotkeys. Absolute horror bag. Right, what I'm going to do is I am going to right click and type in the word land, which will give me the landscape layer blend. Hello. So I'll need that. I'm also going to need right click land, landscape layer coordinates. They come in handy, like so. And for my layer coordinates, what I can do is just move this along a little bit so I can see them all. You can see my scale here and all the other stuff. If I change this to 505, it goes a funny colour. That's weird, isn't it? Well, the reason being that my scale of 505 is the same scale as the scale of my terrain, 505. And so now when I apply my maps to it, they should actually fit once I put them through this layer blending set over here. Don't worry, it'll kind of make sense eventually, I promise. Now, for my layer blend, you may notice there's no options in it, so I'm going to click the little plus 3 times. I'm going to give it 3 names. So red, green, and blue. Now, I know that some people from the America place will have complained earlier about my use of the letter U in the word colour, so I'm going to make sure I add the letter U to the end of all my colours, just to annoy them. Redu, greenu, and blueu. Nice. Next thing I need to do is I need to change my, let's click there, my actual blend type, okay, to a height blend. This is important because you'll notice that layer redo has height redo now, quite important. And let me see, we also need to do it again for this one. And this one. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the preview weights on these. I'm not going to use 0.3 because there's 3 of them. What I'll probably do is use 0.35. And then the next one, preview height 0.35. And then the last one, 0.3, simply because that adds to 1. Makes it a bit easier. Okay, so this is our layer blend. Now, what we need to do is we need to feed something into our layer blend. So, what we need to do is we need to have a height for red, green, and blue. So for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce our terrain color map. Hey-ya! Here it is here. So I'll just keep this down here where it's out of the way, because chances are we're going to use this fella a fair old bit. Okay, and I'm going to take my landscape coordinates here and plug them in into the UV. Ooh. Alright, that was simple. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my red channel and I'm going to put that in my height red, my green channel and put that in my height green, and my blue channel and put that in my height blue. Then I'm going to press 3 and click once, twice, what's the next one? That many times a lady, that's right. And if I double click upon them, I can then increase my red, my green, and my blue. Yoink. There we go. And then I'm going to move my red to my layer red-oo, red, green to my layer green-oo. Paying attention, America. You're the ones who tipped the tea into the ocean. And the blue to the blue-oo. Okay, that was simple, wasn't it? And if you want to make sure this be working, I can double click on my actual texture here and we can have a look at the various red, green and blue channels inside of it. Right, now I'm going to move this to my base colour, just there, and you'll see we get this rather spiffing thing going on here. And then I'm going to click save, and I'm going to wait really patiently. Might look out the window. Oh, oh, might be finished. You never know. Now, if I just drag this over to here, and you can see that our colour map now has apportioned colours to stuff, and that's good. That's what we want it to do. Now you may notice there's some gaps in between our stuff, and a lot of this is down to our weighting. Okay, now we can change our weighting in this quite easily, but for the moment let's just get started with this. So if I bring this over, go to my layer blend, and I'll just make it full screen. I don't need a full screen on this because it looks silly anyway. There we go. And that's our preview weight, constant height input. Just mess around with these fellas for a few. Okay, and what I need to do now is I need to change out my red, green and blue base textures that I've got here for actual red, green and blue, for actual ground, sand and rock. Because if you remember, one of these is ground, one of these is sand and one of these is rock. Now it might not be a bad idea if you have a poor memory to write them down as well, but I'm going to leave that entirely up to you. Right, what I've done is I've just increased the preview weight on each of these to 0.5. The reason being that if I do that, as you can see, we lose our black areas, which is kind of important to us. Now, down here, okay, this is where we're going to have our sand. Okay, so red is sand, green, that's the rock, and blue is grass. Can't remember that? That's why we use Notepad. So, again, just to help us remember, red equals lovely sand, or actually no, we'll make it grass. Lovely grass. Okay, so green equals stone, and blue in this case could equal, well, let's have a look at the blue stuff. It could be snow, I suppose, couldn't it? Blue is snow or something. Okay, so that's pretty precise. We have our plan here. So now what we need to do is bring across some textures or material to make materials with. Just bring this across again and close it down. Now over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 3 channels. I'm going to make the red, the green and the blue. So new folder, red, ooh, new folder, green, ooh, and blue, blue. Okay, just in case, and also that will confuse our dear American cousins, who I really do like, by the way. Good pals, all that. Just teasing you. Satire, we're good at that. Remember The Office? Anyway, so red, if red's going to be some lovely grass, what I need to do is import, And if I go down to my game dev folder and go to my textures, which I keep here, I should have some grass, so I'll just type in grass here. Take a second because it'll have to do a quick index of the entire folder, and I should warn you there's a lot of it. Okay, grass, gooey, fantasy dirt, grass, clump, dirty stuff. Blah, blah, blah. That'll probably do. We'll have that. Dirt clumps. I'll just go into there, and I'll take my diffuse, glossiness. Won't take the height. Don't need the normal because it won't work anyway the way I do things. So we'll take the glossiness and the diffuse and just drag them across. Okay, so these are 1K maps. They're quite big. Probably should have clicked open rather than dragging them. There we go. No. There we go. So there we are. So there's our grass, and what I'm going to do now is just go back to my next one, which is green, which is going to be stone or rock or whatever we call it. So again, don't worry if these materials don't kind of suit what I'm doing here. This is just for your reference, really. So import, and let's see what stone we have, shall we? Better kill off my search. Great. So ground. Is it still using my damn thing? Hang on a second. There we go. Game dev. Textures. Right. So I don't want brick because that looks silly. Might have some rock or something. Here we are. Rock. Granite generic surface. That could do. Or Canyon Layers Pro. I like the sound of that. We'll have Canyon Layers Pro. 1K map. Diffuse, glossiness, and specular. Ding. Okay, give those a second to load. And then in the last one, which is Redo, we're going to see if I've got any snow. Oh no, Redo. No, blue. God, blue. You didn't tell me deliberately. You horrible people. Okay, so import. Snow. Do I have any snow? Type it in there. No items match my search. That's not good, is it? Okay, so I may as well change it to something like dirt or something else. Some other kind of rock, perhaps. I don't know. See what we've got. I've probably got ground, SVG, rock face, pro. That'll do. And I'll use the 1K map on that again. Diffuse, glossiness, and specular. Click OK. And wait patiently. Now then, like I said before, all these need to be saved. So if I just go here and click save, and then wait patiently, and it will take a moment or two. Okay, that one's done, and I can check the other ones as well. See, these ones aren't saved, unfortunately, and I need them all saved. This is a very, very heavy material, by the way. Don't be fooled. Oh, I didn't pause this time. It's not taking that long, simply because it's not massive, this one. Some of my project files literally are just gigs and gigs and gigs of stuff. Okay, and this one. I know I should optimise, but I don't. And that's why we end up with new video games that are 51 gigabytes. You know why that is, though, don't you? Because current game people don't want you to copy our stuff, and so if we make it hard to download, that's better. Right then. Material. Right. So if I go to my Terreno one now, here it is. And the good thing is that by having the red, green and blue set up this way with our folders with the correct names, it's going to make things a bit easier for me because frankly my memory's a bit like soup a lot of the time. So at the minute, if I just press C here, you can see these are our standard colours, right? We don't need those though, so what I'm going to do now is just delete them off. And instead, I'm going to put in our red first. So our red grass / dirt goes here. And then if I go into our green, our rock canyon layer, that goes underneath it. Like that. And then if I come back again, red, green, blue, that's our kind of our rock face. Like that. Now what I need to do is I need to put my landscape layer coordinates onto these so they fit. Okay, actually no, rather than using those, I tell a lie. I'm going to need to scale those up using a different way, so I'll just break the links. And for the moment I'm going to throw these straight into here. So I'll just click and drag, and click and hag. Haha, joking, drag. Okay, and now if I move the layer blend up as well, like so, okay, and then drag around them and do it C, this becomes our diffuse base colour. Oh, I highlighted the U, that was weird. Okay, so now if I save that, it'll only take a second or two. And remember, this is just a very rough, fast map. In total, we've spent less than an hour on this using all three parts. If I move this along, you can now see that we have down here grass, and then up here we have rock, and then up here we have a kind of different kind of rock. Yeah, so we've got rock for the kind of walls and the other stuff. It's starting to take a distinct turn for the Steve Wright rather than the Pete Tong, as you might know if you listen to BBC radio and stuff. Anyway, enough of my strangeness. Now, what we need to do here now is do something to change our UVs on this. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply another landscape coordinates here. So, Control W with this selected makes me a copy of it. And I'm going to just drag this across to these three. Now, at the minute, this is stretching these things like crazy. They will not look right because they've been increased in size from what they were by 505. That isn't any use to us. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to change the mapping on this to 5. Okay, so each tile is now 5 times bigger than it was, which should be enough for what we need. Let's make sure I've changed it on the right one and not the wrong one. Maybe make it less. There we go. And now if I click Save, let's give it a moment. Won't take a second. It'll take several seconds. And now you can see that the size of these maps down here has been increased. Now if you've got a player down here, obviously they're not going to see quite as much of this, especially once you put some props in. You can't just use the landscape on its own, really, it wouldn't work that way. By the way, ignore the big lines going through this as well. These lines are just because we haven't rendered it yet. Ooh, the door. Well, that was old Mr. Blue Jeans, the postman, delivering my surgical day unit pre-operation notification. Oh, that's good. Alright. Okay, so what I need to do now is get back to this. I've already done quite a lot already, but we've got a little bit more to do. So, if I just select these three, sorry, 4, okay. Actually, no, I just really need to select this one and do a Control W. Okay, that gives us our layer blend again. Please ignore that, that's just the 3D Palace dog woofing at things. Shush! I'm going to shut the door. Okay, so again, we're going to map in our height redu, height greenu, and height blueu. Ooh, there we go. Like so. And I'm going to make another one of these underneath while I'm at it. So, just here. Because we need 3. Okay, and again, red, green, and blue. And trust me, you know, these naming standards are a lot easier than grass and rock and stuff, simply because you know you're mapping it into the various nodes. As long as you've already worked out for yourself what red, green, and blue are and stuck on a post-it note stuck to your desk, you're going to be fine. By the way, this part's independent of the other parts, so you don't need to know how to use Worldmachine in order to get this bit working. I've already supplied you with the file. If you haven't found the file, the link will be knocking around somewhere, and you can just whine on the internet until someone gives you it. Right then, so with these 3 here, what I'm going to do is just come down here, and let me see, this is the blue, So I'm going to put my glossiness for my blue here, and my specular here. Okay, then I'm going to go back to my green, and glossiness will go above it, just here. I get really, really weird about wanting them lined up. And this one will go here. Okay, and then finally the red, and that's going to be the glossiness here, because I always do the glossiness above the specular. It's just an old thing from like using Max for so long. And then here. And these fellas will make a world of difference, trust me. As soon as you apply the specular and stuff, things really start to come alive. Right, now I'm just going to move these to their various different places. At this point we start getting a bit of a thing going on. And I'm going to map our UVs like I did before. So let's get these all done. And it's a little bit of like, you know, repetitive stuff, but in the industry that we're doing and that you're learning about, repetitiveness is kind of what happens, I'm afraid. You're just going to have to get used to it. Okay, so again, remember, we just take the red channels, okay? So, sorry, we don't just take the red channels, we take I'm being stupid, we take all the channels and plug them into the red for this. It was just the height that was, you know, okay, so there we go. They go in, and they go in. Incidentally, you know, I've been doing tutorials a long time, and people often ask me, how can you do tutorials for so long? It's quite simple. I just disengage my brain, literally disengage my brain. Right then, so anyway, this one is our grass, and this is our glossiness. Just got to remember, glossiness, and this is specular. So if we go around these and put here specular, and then hit C here, and it's glossiness, like so. And then what I can do is I can just grab the entire darn thing and just move them so over here and out of the way. Again, it makes it a teeny bit easier to read what I'm doing. And then I can just drag my output here from specular to specular, and my roughness, sorry, my metallic becomes my glossiness. And now, as you see, we get highlights appearing much more correctly. That's good. But what about our normal map? Well, that's quite easy as well. If I just go to my tutorial maps and grab our terrain normal map just here, I can just apply that straight across as it comes. And now we have a normal map sitting on top of this as well. It's not a great one, and it's not the one for the grass and stuff. But the problem is that if we do this, what we've done before, if we do this for our normal map doesn't like it, and it gets very unhappy, and it does stuff. So we don't want it to. So we're going to keep it as it is. So if you click save, and you can tidy this up any way that you please at this point. Oh, I'm going to have a good stretch. That was a good stretch, wasn't it? Okay, and just click there. And you can see now that it's applied this. We have the layers of the terrain kind of working modularly well. I mean, yes, this stuff here is going to be patchy, okay? We can change the patchiness for just part of our map if we want to. So, for example, if you want the middle layer, which is the one that's kind of doing our canyon rock here, to have different landscape coordinates, we could just Control W that, and maybe make this one a multiplier of 10 instead. And then if we just feed that into this one, and remember also to feed it into this one, and this one, okay, then hit save, then the mapping is going to be different just on the green, which is our stone, or our layered canyon, or whatever the hell it is we called it. So just give it a second again, just to cook. There we go. So now you can see, again, you know, it's slightly different here. And plus, of course, we've got a blending between the two maps. There's no sudden join off. It doesn't go grass, wall. It goes grass, and then grass and rock. And then, you know, rock and grass, and then just rock. Until we get up to the top, where it starts blending into the next layer, which is this one. Okay? And remember, we can do exactly the same thing with that one as well. Now, you may be seeing this weird normal map here. That's because it's applying the normal map rather uniformly to just about everything in a comedy way. We can fix that if you want to as well. All we have to do is just change the UVs on the normal to that. And hit save. And then we won't get this weird kind of patchiness coming in, which is good. Give it a minute again. All this will do is kind of define the edges slightly more sharply anyway, because the normal map is the same shape as the rest of our darn thing. There we go. But we don't get the scalloping up here that we had. See? And we have just a really rather nice effect going on. Okay, so just to kind of summarise what we've learned, just in this part alone, we've learned how to make a terrain that is a terrain material that is applied to our terrain, and it's taken the majority of the work out of it for us, to the point where we now have a very simple but, you know, quite time economical way of defining our entire landscape. If I was to build this, which would probably be unwise to be honest, simply because I don't really have a ton of memory in my computer, we'd see that we get some quite nice lighting and all that kind of good old guffins on it. I don't think it's being kind enough to let me play it properly at the moment. No, it isn't. Dumb thing. Nice that. But that doesn't especially fuss me, so I wouldn't worry too much, as I can walk around my level this way anyway. Okay, so if you have any questions, the best place to go to ask me them are, just give me a second, when I click on things, 3D Palace, so facebook.com/3D Palace, or www.3d-palace.com. Okay, and I'll be more than happy to see you and answer any questions you may have. You can email me as well. Various options are available through both those things. We have an IRC as well if you're hardcore, and just feel free to ask and we'll give you the details for that. So, until I see you again when we do some more fun things in Unreal Engine, take care, have fun, and remember, always spell colour with a damned U. Bye bye.